presenting transcribed Wiley Walker.
Hi, neighbors, how are you?
And Gene sleeping at the foot of the bed, Sullivan.
Hi, folks. I hope you're living and doing well.
Now take over. And to climax your 4th of July celebration, I give you that firecracker of the airwaves, Wiley Walker.
Boy, I feel all canned up this evening, you know it. We might have happened to be here with you, though, friends, on this grand and glorious day of the 4th of July. Bang, bang. Doggone it. Somebody set off a couple of firecrackers in my hip pocket this evening just as I sat down, and I don't feel so well. It sure did ruin my weekend. Hot dog. I see the program is fixing to get underway with a flying start, and we're going to jump way back to the days of Washington. And we're not going to forget our good old friend, Brother Lee, and we're going to say the Washington and Lee Swing.
And George.
So, you ready, Sean?
Ready.
Hot dog, and that was the Washington and Lee Swing, it's which y'all didn't recognize. I bound you. And now we're going to jump back about, how many years you reckon this is red? When you wore a tulip and I wore a big red rose. How long you reckon that's been?
At least 1,000.
Huh?
At least 1,000.
No, it couldn't have got that pretty in 1,000 years. It must be mellower than that. Must have been about 1,500 years ago when you wore a tulip and I wore a big red rose. Duetting, we hope you'll like it. When you wore a tulip, a big yellow tulip, like cherry when you called me dearie. Was down where the green grass grows. Your lips were sweeter than julep when you wore a tulip, and I wore a big red rose. I met you in the garden of an old Kentucky town. The sun was shining down. You wore a gingham's gown. I kissed you as I placed a yellow tulip in your hair. Upon my coat you pinned a rose so rare. Time has not changed your loveliness. You're just as sweet to me. I love you yet and can't forget the days that used to be when you wore a tulip, a sweet yellow tulip, and I wore a big red rose. When you caressed me, it was in heaven, bless me, what a blessing no one knows. You made like cherry when you called me dearie, was down where the bluegrass grows. Your lips were sweeter than julep when you wore a tulip, and I wore a big red rose. Doggone, that was it. When you wore a tulip and I strutted a big red rose, just sitting up on my lay pail. Hey, hot dog. On the 4th of July, I just feel like popping off. And so, friend, if you don't mind, I'm just going to just pop off a few. Gene, did I ever tell you about the time that I got a postcard from my folks back home?
No, tell me about it.
I got a postcard from my aunt back there, and she says they had a baby boy born on July the 3rd at 11:59.
11:59.
Yeah, on July the 3rd.
Sure.
And they just died of laughing. They happened to think that if it had been 1 minute more, he'd have been a firecracker. July the 3rd, 11:59. Boy, it tickled me to death when I found that. Doggone, I see that, yeah, I heard from John Fenner today. Got a letter from him. He writes on holidays, too, down in Austin. We're mighty glad to hear from old John. And I see now, though, the time is slipping away, and we must, if we are going to play or do anything, we must get along with the program. I hope you folks down in the South don't think me a traitor, because I was raised right here in the good old South, and ain't nobody loves the South as well as I do, I know. But we're going to just renew your acquaintance with an old tune, and I kind of like the tune of it, but I don't like the moral of the tune, but I like the tune, and it's Marching Through Georgia. We're going to try to play it for you at this time. Son, do you remember that thing?
I think I do.
All right. Hot dog, and that was marching through Georgia. What time you say we got to get off, son?
We did 2:40.
At 2:40?
No, we'll say 9:40.
Oh, 9:40. Well, folks, we cutting the record yet. I just want y'all to get in on this thing with us here because it's a shame to kind of misinterpret things to the folks that's out there on the air, you know. And yes, sir, that's what you call this deceivance extraordinary. So don't worry, we up here. This is on a Monday night. We cutting this record to getting ready for tomorrow evening, which you'll be hearing it at this time. So just stick around with us. And now we got this just a few minutes left, and Gene has selected for our old-timer tune today, Grandfather's Clock. I can hear it ticking now. Son, if you hit us a chord, I think we can try to do it for you. And here it is. My grandfather's clock was too large for the shelf, and it stood 90 years on the floor. It was taller by half than the old man himself, though it weighed not a penny's weight more. It was bought on the morn of the day that he was born, and was always his treasure and pride. But it stopped short, never to go again when the old man died. 90 years without slumbering, tick-tock, his life seconds numbering, tick-tock. It stopped short, never to go again when the old man died. Watching his pendulum swing to and fro, many hours had he spent as a boy. And in childhood and manhood the clock seemed to know, and it shared all his sorrow and joy. And it struck 24 as he came in through the door with his blushing and blooming young bride. Oh, but it stopped short, never to go again when the old man died. 90 years without slumbering, tick-tock, his life seconds numbering, tick-tock. It stopped short, never to go again when the old man died. Friends, it's been a pleasure to be with you on this happy 4th of July. We hope you'll have many more of them. We hope you've had a mighty big time, and we hope we haven't intruded in your household. So, Gene, if you'll tell the folks how to feed the hogs without giving them firecrackers, I'll thank you, and it's time to go.
Well, folks, it's time we is getting, so we better go and swap them our hogs.
And we have presented those fellows of fun, foolishness, philosophy, and frivolity, those rascals of rural rhythm, Wiley Walker and Gene Sullivan, in their transcribed 4th of July special. Wiley and Gene will be back tomorrow evening, same time, and we hope you'll be listening. Until then, this is Cottonseed Clark saying goodbye for your country cousin from Andalusia, Alabama, and the lad at the foot of the bed. And to you, Club Dub.
This is the Texas State Network. I thank you.